Kia ora koutou. My name is Judith Duncan and I have motor neuron disease, and this is why we're recording this video so that I can tell the story, but in pieces with support from my other teaching and parent colleagues. I hope you find it an interesting story and a provocation for thinking about early childhood now and in the future. In the last section, I briefly touched on the history of parent participation in New Zealand. I traced how parents have often been seen as not meeting the needs of their children, as lacking, and teachers were seen as having to compensate. We have had models of parent participation, particularly the parent-led early childhood services, that have shown not only how parents value being part of early childhood education, but the gains and the benefits of being so collaborative with parents and children in early childhood. This section now is going to introduce you to one of the several research projects I've been involved in over the last 20 years, looking at how early childhood can be more than just child-centered teaching and learning. Over the project, I've looked at how parents and teachers can work together for the benefit of their children. This then has shifted in my thinking to how can teachers and services actually work with parents to help parents be better parents and to build relationships between and within the community. I have had the privilege of working for 3 years with a cluster of centres in Whanganaui. They are called the Whanganaui Central Baptist Kindergartens and Early Learning Centres, commonly called CBK. Now, CBK began their journey more than a decade ago when they looked around their community in Whanganui and saw that in addition to providing quality early childhood education, their whānau needed other support. So, as I said, over a decade ago, they began to look at ways of supporting the whānau who initially attended CBK, but now it has spread to whānau around Whanganui. Now, CBK was one of the pilot projects I referred to earlier, the Early Childhood Centre-based Parent and Support Pilot. In their model, they added a parent support centre, which was a house along the road from their early childhood centre. From that model, we looked at investigating what really worked in terms of parent support from the pilot project to looking at how can such a model be transformed into everyday pedagogical practice in any centre in New Zealand. So our research was over 2 years, was funded by the Teaching, Learning and Research Initiative. And they enabled us to really investigate what was working and how we could recommend practices for others to follow. Now, just to show you a little bit about the CBK, there are 4 early childhood centres as a cluster and the Parent Support Centre. The 4 early childhood centres are divided by age, so they start from birth through to 5 when the children go to school, but they do have a number of children who stay to 6. This meant in their model of early childhood that all of the teachers got to know all of the parents very well over the 5 to 6 years the families were associated with the centre.
CBK staff, anyway, they try and network or connect with new parents in the centre. And that was done through the one that I did attend, like a morning tea had been organised and all the new parents in the centre had been invited along. And so it's not just left to chance that, like you're a new parent and we'll meet you somewhere along the line, but actually there's an effort made to connect with new families that are coming into the centre. The staff are always welcoming when you arrive, and whether you've been coming for the last 4 years or the last 2 days or whatever, they'll always say hello, and not just to the children but to the parents as well. Even us as the parents, we've built like quite a few long-lasting relationships with other families that have their children come here. Something as simple as carpooling, like our children were all at netball and one of the mums said, "Oh, look, I'll drop the girls off and you can take the little one," because she was, wanting to go all over the show. And so it was a relationship that was built out of CBK.
CBK is a community, this is my community. CBK is my community. You have places where, the suburbs where you've got your school and usually there's people situated living around the school, and that's the community. Where I've lived far away and still came here, and now live in town and still come here, and so this is our community. This is what, we're a family, like a real close community. We're like a family here. The warm, inviting staff, and that kind of draws us in to want to be a part. It draws us parents and the children. The children are exactly the same, Jackson's just always bubbly and smiling, and it's, everyone smiles when he smiles, and same with all the other children. I think it's, you come here once, you come to an event, and you don't want to leave. You want to take everyone home with you.
I think the difference between CBK and to other places is that there's a real community feel about the whole place. You feel like it's not daycare, it's It's so like I'm away from home. My kids just loved it.
If you choose to come to CBK, it's not just a kindy. It really just, there is a lot of body to CBK, and it is there's a lot more essence to CBK. There's a lot of support, it's not just about children learning, it's really a holistic place where it's the whole family, it's the community, there's a lot more to it.
I also see the need to maybe have holiday programs, extra holiday programs, other things like that, where children who've started school that aren't old enough really to go to some of the Oscar programs or would prefer to go somewhere supportive like this. It would be really good to look at that further. I know the twins, when they started school, they were young 5-year-olds, so they really, we sort of negotiated to have them come here for part of the holiday program, and that really helped them because they weren't, in a way, up to the development of some of the others at more open programs which catered for older children.
So it's about community caring for community.
It is.
Like being responsive to particular needs.
And having a look at how you can support those needs. Yeah.
What I want to share with you now is a YouTube clip that we put together to show one of our key findings from our 2-year investigation, which looks at intentional teaching. Now, what we mean by intentional teaching is to not only be thinking very clearly about your work as a teacher with children, but to provide that same level of consideration in your interactions with parents. This means not only being welcoming when they come in the door, but thinking about what they want for their lives with their children and what role you can play in this. And I'll let the teachers tell you about that now.
People today don't have the same community that we might have had years ago, and they may not know their neighbours. So what we're about here at CBK is establishing a nurturing and caring environment where everyone feels they have a place to be and to build community, providing lots of different things that encourage parents to engage with other parents. And there are many ways that we do that with 303 Parent Centre, with our SKIP initiative, with the hippie program that we brought to Whanganaui 10 years ago, identifying gaps there in our community where parents can be in places feeling supported and interacting with other parents. So we have done a lot of that to build community, and in turn, if you're building community and parents are feeling good about what's happening for them and for their child and meeting other parents, developing relationships, that has that ripple effect into just well-being for everybody, family well-being.
You've got the Parent Centre at 303, and you've got SKIP just upstairs, and you've got Hippie just above the church. You've got the church there as well, you know, it's just, everything's all organised. Most families like to be organised, so it's, you set out for the day. I think CBK has that down to a T.
303 is our parent support centre, and it is informal, and each day is something different, and we encourage parents from the CBK but also the community to be involved.
Teachers have become more intentional in introducing parents to parents and linking parents with if they've got hobbies or interests in that are similar. If the children's friendships are very important. I see this particularly by the time they're at Kindy House, that there are a lot of friendships have evolved, and in sports venues, so a lot of the community things, parents link up with other parents from CBK.
I'm just thinking of a little episode a couple of weeks ago where two children knew each other extremely well, but the parents had never met. So being able to say to the two parents, this is da-di-da and this is da-di-da, and these are the children because they're great mates at Kindy.
We connect parents to each other as well, thereby strengthening families. For example, an Asian family who didn't have any relatives here in New Zealand, and another Pākehā family who had recently shifted here, and both were quite lonely, and so we connected them together, and now they've become firm friends, so much so that one of the families was shifting house and the other family helped.
The kids have formed really good friendships with other like-minded families, so you find that people you know in the community who've got similar interests, their children come here, and For instance, Henry's still got he's still a very good friend with little Fraser. They don't go to the same school, but they spent that time together here, and they still see each other and carry that through now. We know other farming families that have come here, and when you're bumping into each other every day, and the kids are friends, and you tend to be at the same stage of your life and do the same sorts of things. So it's quite nice.
My husband also feels completely accepted as a dad. Like a lot of times the childcare in the family is the mum, but he does pickups and drop-offs and with other dads that he's met through kindy and made friends. He went along one day and helped build, and all these dads got together and built something, and there's photos of it in all the kids' profile books. And I think he went to a wacky Wednesday and they set him outside under an umbrella on a toilet, and there's photos of that. And but never made to feel uncomfortable. He just, it was, So it's mums and dads and grandparents.
It's taking an interest in the whole family, and what's happening for that family individually. Whether that be, I'm just thinking it might be a new baby's being born, so a congratulations card will go out. It may be families who have had a bereavement in the family, so we can, if we find that out in conversation, we can send a meal. And again, just our condolences. So it's as teachers, coming alongside families, having those conversations and going just that little bit deeper.
His day will be his birthday.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
27th.
The 27th of June. Yeah. On that Wednesday. So has he started school before the holidays?
Yes.
Probably for me as a team leader too, I used to have lots of conversations with all of the families in our area, because that's part of my role as a team leader as well. And I've seen the other teachers be more empowered to do that too, not just to specific ones that they might click with, but to everyone. And then when we come back as a group, we're having more conversations about the snippets in the relationship that we have with those families, and that's different for everybody as well. And it's just like more pieces being added to a bigger picture. And we've also sort of discovered the importance, not just for the child and all that sharing, but for the family. Being able to reflect back to the parents on what they're doing at home and how we're seeing the benefits for the child is really encouraging to their parenting.
The other role that we've got is parent to parents and us, encouraging people to events. So we've just had the PO event, or those bigger events that we encourage parents to come to, and they kind of know that there's going to be a CBK presence that is less scary for some parents. And a lot of our parents go on to, so it might be Hippie, or it might be the Incredible Years or Boundaries for Kids, so parenting programs, because once that relationship's connected, they feel perhaps more secure to pick up other challenges in the wider community. So building that bridge first and then linking them to wherever, Hippie or counselling or parenting programs, whatever it is, that we're able to do that reasonably successfully.
We also do a huge amount of networking with agencies and services so that we can support, encourage, advocate for families when they're needing those other services or wanting to access those other services.
So we look for solutions with parents. It can be from a car park conversation, it can be a gate conversation. Often they happen at the end of the day or the end of a session. Parents will want to have a little bit more in-depth conversation, so it usually happens then.
I've had a lot of support, and that has benefited my family directly because I'm a better parent and we're a better family because of it. And yeah, I'm very grateful to the centre.
I guess at the centre is the family, and it's the family rather than just the child. We are here about the child, that's wrong, but we're here about the child and where they sit in their place at home, in their place in the community. So it's seeing them in a bigger context perhaps.
Another key finding that I want to share with you today is the notion of how early childhood centres should sit within their communities. Now I'm meaning conceptually sit, not physically sit, because many of our early childhood centres now, their community can cover half of the city, or it might just be one suburb. So we're thinking about conceptually the notion of community. The turning point for the teachers in our 2-year research study was when we posed the question, what should we be doing to build relationships, networks, and resilience within our community? So instead of saying, how can we get parents participating and engaging in our centre, we asked instead, how can we participate and engage with our community? The difference over the 2 years became obvious as parents responded to the outreach of the teachers, and we saw very quickly an increase in participation within the centre, not because we had asked them to come in, but because we had asked them how we can come out to the parents themselves. Again, we have a short segment where the teachers talk about how they have reconceptualised their role in the community.
CBK is embedded in the Whanganaui community. It's not just something that sits in there. We're very actively engaged and embedded in everything that happens in the city. What we offer here is a holistic service, an integrated service of early childhood centre at the centre, if you like, at the core. Alongside that, we have 303 Parent Centre, SKIP initiative, HIPPY, and those things happening around it, so that as parents, it makes it very accessible to parents.
Because the centre offers information with SKIP and HIPPY, I've also just quite naturally gone along with those things too. They are on the site, they're easily accessible, and there's a lot of information around, so I just naturally just came on board with those two. So my children have benefited from those greatly as well.
The links that CBK have got with like SKIP and HIPPY and 303 and the opportunities to go to the parenting forums, and yeah, I think that's what makes it different.
I think coming into 303 and being in a very relaxed, very inviting atmosphere, it provides an environment for people to be able to share, a trusting environment where people feel free to tell people, share things, and then to get alongside and support. And in a group situation with women who like to talk, a lot of information and support just naturally, it just happens.
There's been lots of intentionally planned events, both within all of CBK, but also each area, each team has organised their own events and involved parents, and that's been very successful. Sometimes the events have linked into the learning that's been happening for the children. Sometimes it's been around Christmas, picnics in parks, and I'm sure that's made quite a difference with the parent-to-parent interactions. And the teachers go around at those events introducing parents, especially fathers, because quite often they don't come into the centre. And it's a time to scoop up all the family and grandparents and all the whānau.
From 3:30 till 5 over the summer months, we were inviting anyone to come and join us at Kauai Park with their children, with preschool children, school-age children, anyone who was interested. And that was a great way again for parents to connect with other parents and their children to connect with other children. And we had school-age children who were rekindling friendships that they had at kindy.
In fact, that's continued this term without our involvement at all. So that's good. In the holidays, the parents set up things to connect within the framework, but by themselves, so without any staff help, if you like.
On Sunday we had the Discover It, so that was a huge family thing involving everybody, not just us as CBK parents, but the whole community, to get everyone out and about as a family unit rather than just by themselves.
Vanessa was talking to me, asking me if I could do something, and I said, oh yes, I could read a story, because a few years ago with my grandchildren we went on a lion hunt and all around Whanganaui, and I ended up writing a book about it, and it's about the lion that is at Queen's Park that's on the steps. So I just said to her, maybe I could read that story. So it just kind of started from there. And then I thought about it, and I thought at kindergarten here, when we have mat times, I sometimes get dressed up as a clown, and it's really cool because the children just, some of them know it's me, but some don't. And so it's actually just their imaginations. It's helping to foster their imaginations, I guess. So I thought, I could do that, and that was actually ended up being a big part of it on Sunday. And I asked my mum if she wanted to come along, and she said, yeah, that'd be great. So it was really good because she ended up helping me because she was holding the books, and it was really good. It worked out well.
We initiated a transition forum which brought together early childhood centres and the new entrant teachers from the primary schools for that very reason, to have lots of conversations about transitions to school and how that could happen better, to increase our understanding of early childhood teachers, increase their understanding of the New Zealand curriculum for primary schools, and vice versa for primary schools to appreciate the early childhood Te Whāriki curriculum. And that's built lots of good connections and community and sharing of information, and how that can improve transitions for children. I think we have worked really hard at building networking and building good relationships with the community beyond the centre, and the payoff of that has been that there are very easy referrals, contacts and a confidence because of the relationships we've built.
One of the nice things is that we know that when we're linking parents into our community, that we've had the opportunity to make those links or those networks first. So we're not just sending them off to wherever to hook up for the social service or whatever. We know the people concerned.
I guess the ultimate test of building community and family wellbeing is what happens beyond this place, and parents well connected to other parents while they're through what might have been initiated here, that will sustain beyond the life of the centre, so that those relationships go with them out into the community and they continue to build on those and their children. And that is very much about building community wellness, family wellbeing.
So our findings are conceptually significant. They involve rethinking all we've taken for granted around the roles of early childhood education, around our roles as teachers, and around what we expect of parents in the communities we work in. Our findings have shown that when teachers work intentionally with parents and the community, as well as with children, we make a significant difference. When parents become more visible for the teachers, teachers become more connected with parents, and parents are engaged in the activities of the early childhood centre. They build links and networks and relationships that last their whole lives. In this way, I have argued with you today that we need to rethink the role of early childhood. How can we generate stronger relationships? how can we ask the right questions that assist parents when they are at their most vulnerable with young children and the first time that they are experiencing being a parent? The key is for teachers and services to be intentional and deliberate in their interactions with communities and whānau. To do this, it means everyone needs to be intentionally thinking about these issues. Not only teachers, but managers, leaders, administrators. The first person a parent meets when they arrive at the centre may not be a teacher, may be an administrator or a cleaner. Everyone in the centre must be thinking intentionally how to welcome and develop relationships with the person who is arriving. Our research has shown that we need to reconceptualise everyday pedagogy to consider how to ask a different question around our work with children and families. Instead of saying, how can we get the families to participate with us in our centre? Rather, let's ask, how or what can we do as early childhood for our communities? Turn the question around. Instead of trying to get the community into our centre, let's take our centres into the community. As our children and parents grow and strive to be resilient and strong families, this is a role that our early childhood centres not only could be playing, but should be taking on. Thank you very much.